So this is the masthead of William Lloyd Garrison's original abolitionist newspaper, but it's colorized because it's the Liberator dot today. Turkish playwright Mehmed Morat Ilden says, "When hopeful and hopeless come together, both will learn great things from each other. Hopeful will learn the horror of being hopeless, and the hopeless will learn the beauty of being hopeful." So, honey, in our dialogue together, which one are you? Hope or hopeless?
I don't know, but I'm certainly the most beautiful one, so there you have it.
We are Lowell and Robynn Bliss, and welcome to episode number 9 of the Liberator Today's video series on hope. We are joined this week by my wife, Robynn, who in her practice as a spiritual director has thought long and hard about emotions. Now, we did try one take of this, right? We got into such a fascinating discussion of the difference between despair and hopelessness, and whether hopelessness is a sin, and any number of things. So what we decided is there's a lot more of these conversations in our future for this series, because the emotion surrounding hopelessness and hope is an important thing.
Yes.
Right? But we decided to go the practical route.
Okay.
Right? Last week, I announced, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And of course, you know what our last 2 years have been like. Mm-hmm. And I also told the story of a soldier from Iraq coming back, meeting with the chaplain, confessing to hopelessness, and then that chaplain leading him through some of the Psalms of lament, echoing back that lament. But if we were your clients, and if we were coming to you and wanting to get out from under some of the deadliness of this feeling of hopelessness, how would you lead us?
Yeah, there's just, so much that can be said about hopelessness, about emotions in general, but about hopelessness in particular. I think, practically speaking, one of the first things to know and to acknowledge is that emotions are morally neutral. They're not good or bad, they're not right or wrong. So hopelessness, like any other emotion, is morally neutral. And practically speaking, to be able to identify and notice is probably the first step. To notice, what am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling hopeless. To name it. And then to avoid pouring shame on it, to not say, I shouldn't feel shame, I shouldn't feel hopeless, or I shouldn't feel despair. But just to let it be, give it airtime. It's a legitimate emotional response to your
That sounds easier said than done, to say, I'm not going to pour shame on myself for my hopelessness. How do you hold shame at arm's length?
I think it's to be able to say to yourself, this is a legitimate emotional response to X, Y, Z. To be able to just give it space. And I think it is learned behavior. I mean, I think we have heard that so much. You shouldn't feel that way. Pull yourself up. Quit it. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. But to be able to say, no, this is an emotion that I'm experiencing, that I'm feeling, and that's a legitimate response to whatever's going on. I think the next thing would be able to say to yourself, and we can talk more about this another time, but to even just acknowledge where in your body you feel it. I mean, you're feeling it in your chest, to be able to identify that. Put your hand on that space and be gentle with yourself to say, Robynn, hopelessness is a very legitimate response to what you're feeling. It's okay. It's okay. And then from there, to be curious about it. I wonder why I'm feeling hopelessness. I wonder why I'm feeling this level of despair, or anger, sadness, whatever this would be, relevant to any emotion. And then to invite Jesus into that space, and to ask him, is there anything you want to teach me in this place where I feel hopeless? Is there anything you want to say to me in this hopelessness? And the thing about emotions is that they just are. So it's an indicator that something's going on. And so to be curious about that, like what's going on, what's happening inside me. But then also our emotions can serve as guides and teachers. They have something to reveal to us. They have something to teach us. What does hopelessness want to teach me? What are the gifts of hopelessness? What does Jesus want to use hopelessness? How does he want to use hopelessness to deepen me and to deepen my experience of him and my experience of his presence?
What if I just wanted to stop, end right now?
Well, sorry. We can play whack-a-mole with our emotions. We can bop it down, bop it down, bop it down. But really all that does is it'll just continue to grow. It will, but when you actually notice it and identify it, you take some of the power of that, of the negative side of that, or the uncomfortable side of that emotion. You remove some of that power just by acknowledging it, just by welcoming it, being hospitable to it as compared to slamming the door on it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's stop there.
Okay.
And I'll track through with some graphics, some of the practical steps that you listed. But anyway, why don't we come back next week as well?
Okay.
And explore some of the things that you just touched on.
Absolutely.
Here, the emotions of hopelessness, and of course the emotions of hope.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Very good. So I'm Lowell Bliss, Robynn Bliss. We're environmental missionaries, climate activists, and spiritual directors. And thank you for visiting Liberator today.